Chapter 3, the description of the image. We're going to dive right in because there's a lot going on in this chapter, and we're going to try to, hopefully we can get through it tonight. Daniel 3:1, first verse here. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold 90 feet high and 9 feet wide and set it up on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. If you look at both chapter 1 and chapter 2, there are some similarities, some resemblance to each other. You have an image, we have a statue, we have some connection there. So what we've got to figure out is what is it? What did the image in chapter 2 and the image in chapter 3, what do they have in common? What do they represent? Of course, I think we get a clear indication of what this image, the king himself, the image possibly represented the king himself and the world power, which he was in charge of, which he was the lead guy for. He made this image of gold, and we're thinking maybe it's a reflection of his remembering what Daniel said about him being the head of gold in the first image. And now he's created this image totally out of gold. We know there are some contrasts between the two images that we've looked at. All right. First, the image which Nebuchadnezzar saw in the dream in chapter 2 was of divine origin. That image came to him as a result of God giving him that image, that vision. The image that the second image, of course, is something that Nebuchadnezzar came up on his own. That was his idea. Second, the former was purely imperialistic and nationalistic. So we have all these different leaders of different conquering powers, different nationalities that would come to power in that first image. The second one was made to be a religious image. It was made to be an object of worship. Okay, so very different there. The third thing is that the first had in it a variety of different metals, showing a deterioration in terms from head to feet. We see a descending movement of the strength of the metal, or the preciousness of the metal. The second was pure gold. Okay, so we have these contrasts going on. And what we're seeing here is the pride of Nebuchadnezzar. I mean, it hasn't been that long since Daniel told him what that first image was all about. It's been somewhere between 15 and 20 years. So he still has a memory of this original image. And he's got to remember that this whole thing was he was going to lose his kingdom, his empire. But we see this, it really discloses to us the condition of his heart and where it was. It was all about who? It was all about self. It's all about Nebuchadnezzar. And so he builds this, he comes up with this image that represents him and represents his kingdom. And as we know, as this thing unfolds, he's got it in his head that I did it all myself. I didn't need anybody else. Did it all. That's all about me. So in chapter 2, God revealed his plan to Nebuchadnezzar. So Nebuchadnezzar, what does he do? He throws it right out the window and comes up with his plan. Does that sound familiar? We've got his word in his book, and we think we know a better way to do all this stuff. Don't we? I mean, here's his plan. He's given us direction. He's given us information about every aspect of living on this planet, and we choose to ignore it and come up with our own stuff. And Nebuchadnezzar is a perfect example of this. What prompted him to construct this image of gold? He basically behaved like a lot of Christians do. None of us are immune to the temptation of seeing all this worldly stuff and taking more of an interest in it than we should. holding on to it, gathering it, pulling it in, creating an image of God in the things that we have, stuff. We hold on to it. And the thing that and this is hard for all of us. We go, it's like my closet right now. I've got stuff in there I haven't worn in 3 or 4 years, I know. Why is it still in my closet? Well, I mean, what is that about? You know, we've talked about this. We talked about the average size of the family is a little bit over, it's right at 3 people. When the average size of the family was 5 in this country, the average home size was about 700 square feet. Well, now we've got the average home has 3 people in it, and the average home size is 14 to 1,700 square feet. And then we got to go down to rolls for storage, and we need more storage. We need to rent some space to store our stuff because our 3 storage units behind the house are already full, and our attic's full, and all our closets are full. And we're going, this stuff is worthless in the scheme of things, but yet we want to hold on to it. And maybe this is, Nebuchadnezzar is seeing his kingdom, and he's remembering what God has said, and he's trying to hold on to it. He's going to create this thing so that everybody can see it and feel it, touch it, and look at it. And that's kind of what we do with stuff. We want to feel it, touch it, look at it. We don't wear it anymore, but it's still in there. So we do these things, and we're no different. We have the same struggle. I'm not the only one guilty of that, am I? No! Okay. So now we've got Nebuchadnezzar, and he's feeling pretty good about himself. He's conquered all these nations. He's in complete control. He's got this great empire. He's king.
He seemed to have accepted the dream as being explained it to him, but apparently as years went by, he must have felt that he built this big, huge gold thing to his God he could hang on.
Yeah, exactly. So he's obviously thinking what? He's thinking, well, between me and my gods, we're better than Daniel and his God. He's come a long way in those years. He's totally forgotten what happened, when Daniel gave him the information on that dream, and how he's like, man, your God is the God because he revealed all this stuff. He's totally forgotten this stuff. Or he's choosing to ignore it. Now, one of the things that has happened is that, it seems to be there's no real difficulties or problems happening in his kingdom. So, things must be good. His health is good. Everything in the kingdom's good. There's no war going on. He's conquered everybody. He's sitting back enjoying life. Now, are we not the same way? When we are not facing any difficulties or challenges or obstacles, we kind of forget God. We kind of put Him on the back burner. And then when we have some difficulties, we have some challenges, then we tend to seek Him out again. But it's very easy for the times of good health and good strength and prosperity. It's so easy for us to get God. This country has forgotten God because we have had it so easy it hadn't been that long. It's been since the 1940s. Okay? We've had it easy for the last 70 years. And so we have forgotten the hardships, at least, and some of us don't, we don't know what the hardships are. We haven't, our education system has shadowed over what this country has had to suffer through to reach the point of the last 70 years. So we have lost track of the sacrifice that have been made by thousands and thousands of individuals in the history of this country to get us to the point that we can live in the freedom in which we have. And it amazes me that the one country on this planet that has a Christian foundation has allowed for 400 years all faiths to flourish in this country. But yet, we want Christianity out. We want to be like Nebuchadnezzar. We're going to do it our way. We're going to get rid of this God, like Nebuchadnezzar's doing. We're going to create our own gods, our own government that is going to be our God. We don't need God anymore. We're just going to turn to government, and government is going to solve all the problems that weak Christian God couldn't deal with.